Hello, and welcome back to part 3 of implementing the conversation UI for our rpg-lite game for the Mini Micro. Let's start by running through where we left off with the game. So we can use our arrow keys, or the WASD keys, to move our player around. Use the spacebar to talk to an NPC, and it's going to dump out the contents of whatever dialogue that NPC has to the text console, which is kind of ugly. What would be better is what we're implementing for the last two videos. Go to our Scratch folder, running the heads-up display test. And if you press the spacebar here, it'll open up a window, and you'll see the dialogue text. It could be arbitrarily long. It has a little sound effect, clickety sound when the characters are rendered. It displays the entry to continue when the text is ready to scroll. It is just awesome. Does everything we want. And when it's done, wait for it to get to the end, hit enter, and it closes. We want to bring that component into the game so the NPCs can talk, so you can actually see what the NPCs are saying. Make it look a little bit nicer. And we have two bits of code that we need to bring together somehow. We have the Scratch file with the HUD program, and we have our main program. The first problem we're going to have here is that the HUD is running an event loop, so it's this events library package. If you scroll to the bottom of this file, you'll see that events.eventloop.run starts everything, and then the event library handles all events until it is done. We need to rework the main program to use the same process. And I've been playing around a little bit with the events package. I think I know basically what I need to do here. Let's resize some of this. I think I want them side by side. It's just easier on my head. So basically what we need to do events.eventsloop.run needs to go there at the bottom of the file just before the cleanup starts. And then we need to make sure we import the events package. Now go in our init file. The ensure import makes sure that each file is only imported once. Let's go ahead and do that for all of our files. And we will want the GUI package. We'll want the BMF fonts. Adding in the math util. I think that was just some min-max functions. Comparing numbers, I think. List util, got that. We have string util. Okay. So go ahead and copy our sound over. The dynamic sound generator really is fun to play with, and I posted another video about that a couple days ago. But for this, I just want a sound resource. We're going to create a sounds map, which is going to be a global variable with a click field that will hold our click sound, or the keyboard clicks. We will need our let the GUI setup do its thing. This is the first place where things might get weird, because we're going to set the displays the way that we want them, and then we're going to let the GUI package set up the displays the way it wants them. And I guess we'll see who wins. I I think I'll let the GUI go second because I want to see what in our game, if anything, gets thrashed. Let's go ahead and run that and see what breaks. Oh, look, syntax error. Line 75. Yeah, always forgetting those commas. So far, so good. What I see is that game still works. Whoa, I hit escape, it broke the game loop and started the event loop. Killing the background music happens after the event loop. Oh, that's fun. And you can see that the window's in the wrong spot. I'm actually surprised that works at all. Oh, it's because I hadn't done a reset, so all the old event handlers from the HUD example were still attached to the events package. That's actually pretty cool. Okay. So, shouldn't do that next time because I just did a reset. We're going to I'll go ahead and grab these constants. We have a file for that in source, constants. Oh, pixel width versus pixel display width. You know, I like pixel display width. It's more descriptive. I want people thinking that we're trying to measure the size of a single pixel. Just copy these. These are all constants related to the GUI. We need the measure string function. It's not still used anymore. Yeah, it's still in use. Okay, I'll leave that for now. We will need the measure string function. Our main file has gotten too long for my taste. It's at 138 lines. I'd really love to keep it under 100, but I've already been over that. We're just gonna go nuts today and dump more functions in there. Functions are gonna go at the top. Constants, then functions, then variable definitions. Now, before we start grabbing... Oh. I'm thinking. Let's try to normalize this. Because in the game, we're calling this sounds.click. Go away. Also, I don't need all those globals dot. Now, I was talking to some people in this group. The problem is, if you do like old GFX equals GFX, it's going to first check the global namespace for that variable. And then if something exists, it's going to use that. And then it'll check the local namespace, see if it's defined there. But it finds it globally, it's good enough. When you assign something, different story. GFX equals GUI.scratch display. The default there is going to be to see, does that variable exist in the local scope? In this case, it is not defined in the local scope, so it creates a new variable, and that becomes the new value of GFX for the life of the function, which makes a lot of sense. Which means it also means that we don't need all these extra global start references. That cleared up the mystery for me. It was just confusing me last time. Anytime we're assigning, we need to make sure we use the global dot. But if we're just referencing, we don't need it. That's what it comes down to. And just to make sure I'm not crazy, let's rerun that program. Assignment of unqualified local computation window based on known local is deprecated. Line 44. I missed something. Go into line 44. Weird. Assignment of unqualified local conversation window. Oh, global start conversation window. Actually, though, we don't need that at all. We can just have this refer to the global variable, and then everything should be fine. And it is. But we don't need to watch that again. Going back to our code here. I think I'm just going to start dropping functions in. Render text. Begin conversation. Have the global variables managing the conversation, which we will pretty up soon enough. Then comes the complicated part with our event loop. So basically, we need to replace this with that. Keep the got key. It'd be interesting to see if the got key completely overrides the ability of the main loop to catch key presses. No, we'll see. I don't think it will, but we'll see. Wrap that in the onUpdate function. Find the end while, replace it with an end function. We don't need the yield anymore because the events package is doing that for us. And then we have the actual logic to control the conversation. This chunk. And this whole thing only becomes active if the conversation window is open. We don't need all these global dots. Only need global dot if you're trying to assign something and you want to make sure to control what scope it ends up in. Which is the case for most of those, but not all of them. Now, theoretically, what should happen here is the game should run as normal until, well, you try to escape, in which case you can't. Here. I think there's a stop function. Yeah, event loop.stop. So that's fine. We're handling the escape. Is talking. Is done. So that's stop. Self is a reference to the event loop. It's actually called event loop.stop. So that'll make sure we can get out when we're ready. And everything should run as normal until key char should get triggered every time a character is pressed. If it detects character 10, then it should start the whole process from our Scratch HUD program. Let's see if I'm right. That didn't work. I'll divide line 53 of constants. Ah, yeah. You only stick one as a division symbol, and two of them to make it a comment. It's easy. Pixel height is unknown. Constants 946. So we're calling it display height now. Pixel display height. Next. Whoa. Here, what was that error? Warning, assignment of unqualified local tiles deco active. Line 211. Weird that it's getting that line number wrong. It's weird. Based on non-locals deprecated at line 211. That is weird. Usually seems more reliable about telling me the line number. Oh, well, here's the problem. It's on line 219 for one thing. Got a theory. What's line 211 in this file? No. I thought it might be referring to line 211 from the events file, but that's not it, so I don't know what's going on. The important thing is we need to change this assignment. Basically, since we have moved our main loop into a function, we need to then evaluate all the variable assignments. Make sure that we're still pulling them from the right spot. Those can be local. Camera move, that can be local, I think. That is global. That needs to be global. Those can be local, local. That might fix it. Okay. So now, what happens if we press space? Undefined identifier window width. Why is window width undefined? It's right there. Say line 52? Yeah, line 52. Oh, I know what the problem is. See, all my other constants are globals dot, and I did not do that for the GUI constants. That might fix it. Reset. Clear. Run. Why is the window opening way down there? Okay, we need to review how we're positioning that window. Going back to our little Scratch program, where are we actually positioning the window? Where are we creating the window? I would expect that's been created in the begin conversation function. Make the window, go to that position. So if we go to the begin conversation function here, it's the exact same code because we copied and pasted it. So why is it not doing the same thing? Pixel display width by 2, and then height minus conversation window height. But instead it looks like it's doing... Let's run that again. I want to see what it's doing. Oh, well, now you can't see it at all. Oh, you see it? The user interface is rendering to the same sprite display that we are using for our map and for our sprites. Therefore, when we scroll our sprite display, it scrolls the GUI display as well. Okay, that's just fun. So, let's see if we can fix that. Let's look at our displays. Because we had a plan for this when we started. Constant displays. The idea is for all the UI to be displayed on layer 1. And if we go where we're initializing, we set up displays. Let's review what is setup displays doing. All this. We're going to copy that because we'll take a better look at it over here. All this setup GUI displays. Print. Now, this is just the background. We don't need setup GUI displays to do that. We will do it ourselves. We might end up getting rid of it altogether, but I'm not ready for that yet. But we do want to keep a reference to that. I'm going to store that up there. Globals has index debug, then... Well, we're not going to use that bit. The scratch display, we are going to handle differently. We're creating an off-screen display for that instead of using one of the indexed displays. Display 7, constants. Display 7 is not a... What's going on there? Take that part out. And then instead of using 4, we are going to use display type.ui. We set to sprites. It looks like the events package will use it too. Display 3 will remain text. Display 2, which we're not doing anything with right now. We're gonna store in our list just for reference. Okay. That's the menu display. We're not using it, but I'm not ready to throw it away. We might need it later. That might be all we need to do for creating a custom setup GUI displays function. I keep saying that these function definitions with no parameters also have no parentheses in the definition, so I'm probably going to need to clean that up too. I have a long-standing habit of using too many parentheses, which is I don't know, it's just not the way it's done in miniscript. Set of GUI displays. We'll move our Scratch display configuration into there. All right, let's see how much mess that made. Oh, this is so exciting. Reset. Rerun. Key not found. Well, we knew something would break. Those things don't work right. Most things do not work on the first try. Line 80. Oh, right. This background display will not be assigned until set of GUI displays is called. So we're going to do that. Sprite display unknown, line 55. Supposed to be GUI dot. Here's the big test. I'm going to press the space bar. Oh! Alright, so. This is cool. So the spacebar is being captured in two places. Once, if the window is not open, the spacebar will open a window and start the conversation. Also, if you're close enough to an NPC, it'll launch the NPC conversation. Two things need to happen. As long as the window is open, we don't want the player moving. Basically, we don't want any NPCs updating. Everything's going to sit still until we're done talking. And we're also needing to redirect this text from the NPC to go up into the window. Hitting escape did not clear the GUI displays. That's kind of funny. Okay. So let's see. First thing, redirecting NPC conversations. On got key. I'm trying to see. I wrote this a couple days ago. I'm trying to remember exactly what's going on. Basically, if trying to start a conversation, we need to make sure the window's not already open. If it is not open, we can begin a conversation. Let's take that bit and move it into the is talking blob. On talk with player. Oh, there's a wrinkle. Conversation management is actually managed inside that script. Let me think. Think. The script is just another file that was imported. we've already imported it, it should have access to the global namespace, which means it should have access to the begin conversation function. What I'm going to do is scoot that block into the begin conversation. Oh, it's already there. If the conversation window is not, like if it's already open, return false, otherwise you can talk. So basically we don't even need that if block. Cut that out. And let's go into our scripts folder for NPCs, town version 3, 2 NPCs. How about that weather? That's what's going to go into the window. I was just thinking, or manually typing in the name of the NPC here, I'd much rather it be able to like refer to self.name. But we're not at that point yet. That'll be on our to-do list. Hey there, player. Hey there, fill in your name here. And that might be enough to get the conversation going. What's that our to-do? To-do! Refer to self.name instead of NPC0. Somehow. What I think I'm going to do, because there actually is no self here, it's just a standalone function. I might have something like that. It's what it's based. If you are in Rust or Python, that's the way it would look. So it's these follows somebody's standard. NP0, NPC1, and then we don't want that for now. This one, it waits if the conversation window is open. Is conversation running equals conversation window is not null. Creating little Boolean variables like this can be really helpful for making your code legible. It's better to write legible code than it is to write short code, because 3 months from now, I'm going to forget most of what I wrote here. Doesn't matter the project or how interesting it is, it's like, you'll forget. You need to be able to come back in here and you immediately be able to get up to speed on what were you thinking when you wrote this. Okay. I think the rest of this code will just work. Waiting for the enter key. And then if the user presses enter, we're going to see if the text is waiting, then you can keep typing. Text is done, we close the window. We're going to have to pull all that out into an external component. But first, let's just see if this works. Hitting spacebar. Nothing happens, which is actually good this time. Let's walk up to NPC1. Oh, check it out. Our NPC is talking into a bona fide conversation window. So it's done, you hit enter. Oh, there's a little bit of a problem. You press enter, and it immediately reopens the window. You can walk further away, and so it won't happen again. Oh, that's annoying. So we need to make it so that doesn't happen. Now the problem is the enter key is also being detected in two places, in the on-got key, which will close the window, but then also down here. He is talking. We need to pick a path. Like we can't have two keyboard handlers. They're fighting each other. It's like running two virus scanners on your computer. Don't need your system waging war on itself. So it might. What I'd really like to do is take all the keyboard handling out of the on update and move it into the keyboard event handlers. And there's another program I was playing with trying to learn the event system. Scratch, Ripples. I'll show you this one in another video. It's kind of a neat program. That's for another time. So we got these on key downs. Rather than doing on got key, you can actually do something more like this and feed it the key name, which is what I really want to do. Knows the escape. We'll remap it back to the settings once we know it works. Event loop, on key down, enter. So enter or return? Well, that's what we have our settings files for. Input, talk, enter, or return. Oh, it could be either. So if one doesn't work, we'll try the other. No, here. Let's make sure the exit still works. Because self.stop, my on exit is a global function. I'm not sure if self is gonna get reassigned when we stuff it into the event handler. Let's just make sure. Okay, that still works. Cool. Um, on talk equals function. Enter, return, in space. On talk, it's gonna handle that bit. We don't need that. We are definitely talking if we made it into the on talk function. Or tried to talk. And I'm going to simplify this a little bit. There's no talking to entity, then just stuck out. Just want it to be more legible. It's too far. Distance is greater than tile size pixels. Is entity too far? like that better. Conversational. Interactive. If not is entity interactive, then turn. Is entity conversational? And that will basically that. If all that is true, then the entity is conversational. If it's not conversational, then return. Just following the pattern. Okay. So now let's get the rest of this on got key function. The onTalk is going to handle talking to an entity and also updating the conversation UI. If not, is conversation. No. I put in the true bit first. Compilers, it's just more efficient. So if there's not a conversation running, we run through all this logic for talking to an entity. If there's no conversation running, we can talk to someone. If the conversation is running, we want to do that. Key check is no longer necessary. We know the key was pressed. Yeah, we're keep it fat. This is fairly legible, I think. It's legible to me anyway. And then the on got key can go away. Let's test that. We're walking, trying to talk. He's too far away. Okay, gets to the end, press space, closes the window. It does not immediately reopen it. Cool. We're still able to like walk away while the guy's talking. It's a little bit rude. And it also leads to another potential problem. I guess it's not really a problem. If we're talking to this guy, conversation is still going. Let's walk over to this guy. Closes. Yeah, press again, talk to that guy. Hey there, player. So it works, but I feel like it's rude. I think the player needs to wait until the person they just spoke to is done talking. Don't walk away when someone's talking to you. Okay, we don't need this. So what we need to do, if not players moving, the onUpdate function needs to know if the conversation is running. If the player is not moving and there's not a conversation running, then the player can try to move. Okay. Let's see if that works. We can still walk. Let's go talk. Talking, and I'm trying to move. I can't. I'm stuck in place. Okay, we'll finish talking. And I can move again. Yay! Alright, the next thing we need to do, we're going to do a little bit of cleanup here. see, I don't think we need that anymore. We need to map this back to our keyboard settings. Constants for reference. Won't need this. Now, the way we're going to do that, we're going to use the code that I just deleted. No, that was a filter command. I don't need to filter. What I need to do is for key in settings input exit. And key down for that key, bind it to that function. And then we do the same thing here. Key in settings input top. Bind the onTalk function to those keys. All right. Now this is actually looking promising because having all this event driven suggests that we can start taking individual event functions and stuffing them into other files, which will help make this a little easier to manage. Let's first make sure I didn't blow away our ability to respond to anything. Key not found, access line 172. Reset. I'm a little annoyed that the line numbers aren't matching up anymore. Key not found, access line 172, excuse me. Ah. So, key is the name of the map that contains all the functions and references for working with keyboard keys. It's also up here. Oh, where did I put it? Talk. It's also the name of our loop variable. So we were replacing the built-in map with our loop variable name. Just not ideal. There you go. Rerun. And we're moving. Yay. And we're talking. How about that weather? Oh, it's a bright sunny day in rpg-lite Village Land. I've added a couple things to this map since the last time we took a stroll. Using the water tiles down here to draw a little pond. If I can figure out how, maybe I'll add a fisher. Or maybe some fish. Or maybe I'll turn on the collision for that bit of the map. Here's our map. We're going to do it right now. Select the collision layer. Select our collision tile. And we're just going to pencil that in. Cannot walk on water. I've only ever heard of 2 people who can walk on water. And only one that did it well. Alright, so no longer walk on water. And you come over here, and there's a little house. So I'm still trying to work out what type of story we're going to tell. But I think the player is going to wake up in this house. still try to decide if the story's gonna be based around maybe you have two brothers living in this house. There's gonna be something up here, I'm not sure. Anyway, you wake up one day, something compels you to go out, wake up, go outside. Come up here, talk to the town square. There's somebody important up here for you to talk to. Or maybe they come and grab you, tell you to hurry over to the... Go over to the tavern. Tavern Inn. Something big is happening there. Conversation. Go get involved in your community. People are sitting all around here discussing some problem. I don't know, maybe trolls came and stole all their apples. Townspeople will starve. The yearly apple picnic is ruined. How are we going to make our pies this year? We need you to go out, find those trolls, take back our apples. Alright, let me go over to the weapon shop. Get me some equipment for fighting trolls. Do all your purchasing. Cool. Alright, ready for my adventure. On your way out of town, begin your adventure. Stop right there. Maybe whoever you live with decides that they're going to join you after all. Troll hunting is fun. It's even more fun when you do it together. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing it right now. But it could be fun. Going to be working on my battle style. You're going to be, when you leave this map, I keep going back and forth on this. I think I want the player to enter a world map. It'll be random encounters, takes you to a battle screen, do turn-based battles. And then you find whatever the next dungeon is that your quest is sending you on. That's the theory. Anyway. Okay, so the town map is secure once more. Our event loop is doing well. I'm going to try to do one more thing before we're done. The file is bigger than I like, so we are going to try to shrink it down a bit. We have our measure string, which we're using in one place, okay, with the little indicator. Let's take this and stick it in math. The BMF fonts. Well, let me make sure. BMF fonts. There's no type indicators on your parameters, so some kind of note is needed. Technically, you can throw in anything for font as long as it has a characters array where each character has a width and height. And we might be coming back around to that later, because I'm still considering replacing the GUI fonts with the true type fonts that came with the asset package. So, measure string, we're going to replace with math.measure string. Then we're going to try to trim down this file a little bit. I'm trying to keep it under 100 lines. We're at 237 lines. That's kind of gross. So let me think. How are we going to do this? Several functions here are all about the conversation component. Conversation UI, we're going to wrap that up into some sort of class. grab the globals related to conversation management. This is going to break something. It just has to. Where did I put? There they are. There's my variables. Okay, now we need to make sure we're referring to those variables. So we're going to just scan this right quick. Um, lines is input. There. Actually, we can do self now. So all that's packaged together. We're going to have to retest this when we're done. Okay. Let's take that concept that is conversation running and make a function for it. That for that. Now, going back to onTalk, if conversation is conversation running, conversation UI to manage the conversation. Yeah, we don't need these parentheses. Death to unnecessary parentheses. Be free of parentheses. This is all now a self-reference. Those are no longer global variables, which is good. You shouldn't have too many global variables. It makes your life messy. Then I'm just going to break this off. Conversation UI is running, then it'll take over and return. Otherwise, we will continue as normal. Then, oh, this is almost assuredly going to hurt something. We have the rendering. It's not null, so it is running. time, last render time, last text render. I think we can just take all of this. And then let's create a couple more properties. Is text done equals function turn self.index is equal to self conversation text length. So note that. Once it is done, yeah, we don't need that. And then let's make one for is waiting. And self dot on all of our instance variables. Don't need this anymore. Yay. Should we do all that right? Self dot. It's always render text and then self dot visible text. So we really don't need that property or that parameter to the function. But I don't want to change too many things at once. So let's find out what we broke. And if without matching if, line 17. See, I don't know why I keep doing this. I do the same thing with for loops, or ending an if block with an end for. I don't know. I think the autocomplete in Visual Studio Code might be getting me. It runs. It's not trying. Brought up the window, but it's blank. Now, where are we initially? It's the render text. So that's where we're coloring the scratch display blue. So the render text is just not happening. Let's see if we can figure out why. Now it's not opening at all. Render text. Begin conversation. Begin conversation. Make sure we get in there. Key not found. Begin conversation not found in map. NPC 1. Oh. Begin conversation is not where it used to be. That's looking for globals at begin conversation. It needs to be like that. So that's one thing that'll help. Right, clear off that user interface so we can see the text display. There we go. Okay, so conversation text is unknown in this context, line 103. There it is, self-dot. Reset. Unknown where number of string or temper is required on line 1. We'll go back to that. Run init. From the top. Unidentified identifier index is unknown in this context, line 103. There. Reset. Rerun. Oh, right. Oh. Oh, so close, so close. 76. Self-dot. We actually don't need these properties anymore because we created instance properties. Reset. Rerun. Right. So that is refactored, which is good. We need to clear that display on cleanup. Where's the cleanup? Let's go to our constants again. Source, constant. We have UI and UI pixel. So we gotta clear both of those. I gotta test again just yet. I don't like that if you have to do conversation UI.begin conversation. That makes scripting odious. We're gonna solve that. Creating an alias. So I think I'm just gonna leave that here. Doing that means we should no longer need this. So don't need the print statement anymore. Do want it to do. We're going to come back to that later. We really will. And then we're going to take the whole conversation UI and dump it into a component. Conversation UI.ms. MS for manuscript. Take all of our conversation UI. Stick it there. Return it at the end. And then that can actually move up to initialization. Initialization. And in fact, I'm going to keep this up here with... No, never mind. I'm leaving it down there. It'll sort itself out. Okay. Sounds is probably going to move later. Depends how many sounds we get. So did I do a required? Yes. So that should still work. Let's make sure it still works. Test, test, test. No, it doesn't work. Conversation UI line 58, self is unknown. Oh, right. Because I pulled it out. Oh. We have to do that differently. It's because I pulled it into this fray, which caused it to lose its sense of self, basically. It's the opposite of what happened earlier with our event handlers. Where was that? Here. When we did this, assigned a bare function to that event handler, it gained a sense of self with the event loop. We just did the opposite, removing the sense of self, so the solution is this. We're going to proxy it instead of copying. That should work. Let's make sure. There we go. All right. So we have secured the conversation UI into its own file. What is our line count? It is still a lot. Technically, we should be able to grab the whole event at this point and the whole on talk chunk and shove those into separate files. That would work kind of like this. I'm not sure if this is a good idea or not, but you can do it. On talk is this, return a reference to on talk. In our main function, I think we can do the same thing for on update. If this doesn't work, I would not actually be surprised. But it might work. Now return a function reference. I'm not sure if we have to put an @ sign in front or not. We're going to just try it like this. So let's try it with the @ sign. Still isn't doing what I expected. But we also could do it like this, where we don't actually have to return anything. We just attach it to the event loop. And then we simply import it. Don't have to return anything. This actually feels a lot better. Do our event binding in the same function here, or in the same file. Create the onTalk function, bind it to all the events, or the keyboard keys. And I guess just for consistency, we'll do the same thing for onExit. It doesn't do as much, but it might get bigger later. And there we go. Can we still talk? No, no, we can't. At all. Oh, you. Still exit. We're gonna test this. Let me make sure I didn't clobber something in all of my copying back and forth. One talk, and then we bind it to each key. Okay. I was talking. So doing an ensure import and moving all this out to yield the same result. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what it is, but it does work. Able to move our event handlers out of the main file, which I think will help us in the long term. And it should have an added benefit. We are now under 100 lines in our main file. Yay! Oh, see that? 102? That's just not going to do. Cut out some of this fluff. There. I'm happy with that. All right, I think that is all. So I'm going to be uploading this to GitHub soon. Remind you all, if you go over to my itch.io page, itch.io, traytones.itch.io, you can see here's the game we're building. Click on that, and clicking run here, click run the game. This is the previous version. By the time you see this, the latest version should be up. That is it. Next time we talk, we are going to begin looking at how we might be able to reskin the UI a little bit to make it, to use the assets in the Dawn-like asset pad, make it look like it fits in with the game a little bit better. And that is all for today. See you later.